Hey everyone, welcome back to English Podcast with Julie. In today's episode, we're going to talk about something many of us do every day, even without realizing it, comparing ourselves to others. Why do we compare? How does it affect our happiness and self-esteem? And most importantly, how can we stop doing it? Stay tuned to find out. So, let's start with the big question. Why do we compare ourselves to others? Well, the truth is, comparing ourselves to others is something that happens naturally. We do it all the time, whether it's at school, at work, or when scrolling through social media. There's actually a theory called social comparison theory, created by a psychologist named Leon Festinger. This theory says that people compare themselves to others to figure out where they stand in life. In other words, we look at what others are doing to measure our own success. For example, we might compare our grades to a classmate's grades, or our appearance to someone we see on Instagram. We do this because it helps us understand ourselves better, but sometimes it can have negative effects. There are two types of comparisons we tend to make: positive and negative. First, let's talk about positive comparison, also called upward comparison. This happens when we compare ourselves to someone we think is better than us. For example, you might see a friend who's really good at sports and feel motivated to practice more so you can improve. In this way, upward comparison can be a good thing. It pushes us to grow and do better. But there's a downside. Too much comparison can lead to negative feelings. For example, you might start thinking, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never be as successful as them." This can lower your self-esteem and make you feel unhappy. On the other hand, there's something called downward comparison. This is when you compare yourself to someone who is doing worse than you. For example, if you're feeling bad about your job, you might compare yourself to someone who doesn't have one, and it might make you feel better temporarily. But this kind of comparison isn't always healthy because it doesn't help you grow. So, how can we stop comparing ourselves to others? Here are a few simple tips. 1. Focus on your own journey. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your own progress. Celebrate your achievements, no matter how small they are. Everyone's path is different, and it's important to recognize that your journey is unique. 2. Practice gratitude. One way to shift your focus from comparison to appreciation is by practicing gratitude. Think about what you're grateful for in your own life. For example, at the end of the day, you can write down 3 things that made you happy. This helps shift your mindset from what you don't have to what you already have. 3. Limit social media. Take breaks from social media if you find yourself constantly comparing. Social media often shows only the highlight reel of people's lives, and it's easy to forget that everyone faces struggles. 4. Set personal goals. Instead of focusing on what others are doing, set your own personal goals. Work toward what matters to you and move at your own pace. Setting goals helps you focus on your progress, not someone else's. Before we finish today's episode, let's go over some important vocabulary we talked about. I'll explain each word and give you an example. Comparison. When you compare 2 or more things to see how they are similar or different. Example: we often make comparisons between our lives and others on social media. Self-esteem. The confidence and satisfaction you have in yourself. Example: constantly comparing yourself to others can lower your self-esteem. Social media. Online platforms where people share content and connect, like Instagram and Facebook. Example: social media often shows the highlights of people's lives. Gratitude. Feeling thankful for what you have. Example: practicing gratitude helps shift your focus from comparison to appreciation. Upward comparison. Comparing yourself to someone you think is better than you. Example: upward comparison can sometimes motivate us to improve. Downward comparison. Comparing yourself to someone you think is worse off than you. Example: downward comparison can make us feel better, but it doesn't help us grow. And that's it for today's episode. We talked about why we compare ourselves to others, how it impacts our self-esteem and happiness, and a few ways to stop comparing. Remember, it's important to focus on your own journey and appreciate where you are in life. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to English Podcast with Julie. And let me know in the comments if there's a topic you'd like me to cover next. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.